Hi guys, this is the Bombay chef Varun Inamdar and welcome to Rajshri Food. Today I'm going to make one of those gems which tops your list whenever you think of Indo-Chinese appetizers, Paneer Chilli. Like you would be already knowing or would have realized by now that Indo-Chinese food requires a lot of preparation. So I've already started cutting some capsicums. I'm beginning with the yellow ones. Moving on to the red bell pepper. Just make sure you remove the cap as well as the seeds. Similarly, cut these into rough triangles. Moving on to some green capsicum. Well, paneer chili recipes generally call for just green capsicum or green bell peppers. But in this case, just to add some more color and vibrancy, I'm using all the colors. Next, moving on to some onions. In this case, red onion. I'm just going to cut it into half and then into 6 pieces like so. Keep this aside. And now let's move on to ginger, garlic and chilies. I've just peeled a ginger root. I'm going to cut it into julians first. I'm going to cut it again into finer pieces. Well, this way of cutting is by cutting through the rock motion, because here if you see, the knife is rocking on the cutting board. Here you have finely chopped ginger. Moving this aside, and similarly let's cut some garlic. I'm first going to bash the garlic so that it becomes easier to cut. Again, in the rocking motion, I'm going to cut all of this finely. Well, just to make the cutting easier, you can also sprinkle some salt so that it gets some grip. The only thing here to remember is that you've added salt already and later you just have to adjust some salt. This too can move aside, and now let's move on to chilies. All we need to begin with is snipping the stalk and cutting these into thick slices like so. You can also reduce the spice level by reducing the quantity of chilies. And finally, the star of this recipe, cottage cheese, also known as paneer. Very carefully, I'm going to cut these into cubes. This is an extremely delicate home cheese. Make sure you cut it gently. The pre-preparation for this recipe is done. Now let's move on to making the batter for frying the cottage cheese. For this, I'm taking some refined flour, some rice flour for crispness. For some added crispness, some corn flour. Let's season this now with some salt, some dark soy sauce, very little. For some added spice, some pepper powder. Not too much. Finally, to make the batter, some water at room temperature. With the help of a whisk, make sure we mix this nicely and the batter is absolutely lump-free. Add little water at a time so that you can adjust the consistency later. The batter is ready. Let's now move on to frying the paneer. For this, let's first heat some oil in a pan. Well, for this, you can also use the traditional method of deep frying in a wok, but just to consume some lesser calories and oil, of course, I'm going to shallow fry this. Let this oil heat on moderate flame. The oil is heated up. Now the paneer cubes go in this batter. Give it a nice dip. Lift it. Drain it like so and dip it straight in the hot oil. Continue this process till all the paneer cubes are fried golden brown and ready. Make sure you do not overcrowd the pan, otherwise the paneer cubes may just turn soggy. Once the cubes of paneer turn golden brown on one side, carefully turn them around and make sure these are nice and golden on all the sides. The pieces of paneer are fried and ready. I'm going to transfer these on an absorbent kitchen paper so that all the excess oil is absorbed. All the components of our paneer chili are ready. Let's start assembling these in a wok. For this, I'm going to heat a wok on high flame. Make sure it becomes nice smoking hot. The wok is heated up. To this, I'm adding in the hot oil from the same pan that we cooked the paneer pieces in. Just swirl the oil around in the wok. Once the oil heats up, I'll add in the ginger, garlic and chilies. Make sure the oil is constantly on high flame. Give this a toss. Allow this to cook for 30 to 40 seconds. Once the raw flavor is off and away, I'll be adding in the capsicums and onion. Toss this around on high flame. After a few seconds, add in the fried pieces of cottage cheese, followed by some salt as required. Keep the salt on the lesser side because you also have soy sauce, and also, if you remember, we had added salt earlier in the pieces of paneer as well as the garlic. Dark soy sauce, and finally some freshly crushed black pepper. A quick toss, and just before moving this out of the pan, a classic Indian touch, fresh coriander leaves. A final toss, and off goes the flame. Paneer chili is done and ready. For the non-vegetarian version, check the link in the description box below. And this is me, the Bombay chef, signing off.